The next sutta is 35.244. The Buddha said, monks, when a monk understands as they really are the origin and the passing away of all states whatsoever that entail suffering, then sensual pleasures have been seen by him in such a way that as he looks at them, sensual desire, sensual affection, sensual infatuation, and sensual passion do not lie latent within him in regard to sensual pleasures. Then he has comprehended a mode of conduct and manner of dwelling in such a way that as he conducts himself thus, and as he dwells thus, evil and wholesome states of covetousness and grief do not flow in upon him. Stop here for a moment. This covetousness and grief, as I have explained before, if you have desire and lust for sensual pleasure, then you want to covet it, you want to possess it. And then if you fail to possess it, then grief will flow in on you. So that's why these two states, covetousness and grief. And how monks does a monk understand as they really are the origin and passing away of all states whatsoever that entail suffering? Such is body, such its origin, such its passing away. Such is feeling, such its origin, such its passing away. Such is perception, such its origin, such its passing away. Such is volition, such its origin, such its passing away. Such is consciousness, such its origin, such its passing away. It is in such a way that a monk understands as they really are the origin and passing away of all states whatsoever that entail suffering. Now stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha is saying, if you want to understand the origin and the cessation of states that bring on suffering, you should understand the five aggregates. That's a bit surprising because this chapter is the sixth sense basis. Salayatana is a chapter concerning the six sense basis. But instead of saying that you should understand the six sense basis, here he says you have to understand the five aggregates, because the five aggregates, in the definition of suffering, the Buddha says, in brief, the five aggregates of attachment are suffering. So the origin of suffering basically is in these five aggregates: body, feeling, perception, volition, and consciousness. So to understand suffering, you have to understand the five aggregates, the origin of the five aggregates, and the cessation or passing away of the five aggregates. And how monks are sensual pleasures seen by a monk in such a way that as he looks at them, sensual desire, sensual affection, sensual infatuation, and sensual passion do not lie latent within him in regard to sensual pleasures. Suppose there is a charcoal pit deeper than a man's height, filled with glowing coals, without flame or smoke. A man would come along wanting to live, not wanting to die, desiring happiness and averse to suffering. Then two strong men would grab him by both arms and drag him towards the charcoal pit. The man would wriggle his body this way and that. For what reason? Because he knows, I will fall into this charcoal pit and I will thereby meet death or deadly suffering. So too monks, when a monk has seen sensual pleasures as similar to a charcoal pit, sensual desire, sensual affection, sensual infatuation, and sensual passion do not lie latent within him in regard to sensual pleasures. Stop here for a moment. So, if we do not want this sensual infatuation, sensual desire to lie latent within us, we have to regard sensual pleasures exactly like a charcoal pit. If you fall into the charcoal pit, you'll be burned and you'll suffer a lot. So if you understand this, then you know the danger of sensual pleasures. A lot of young people, they don't know. For example, we have a college nearby here. You find a lot of these college students, they are living together like man and wife. So they don't understand. They one day, then the girl gets pregnant, then a lot of suffering will come because because they don't realize this danger of sensual pleasures, like this charcoal pit. Sometimes you see in the newspaper, some baby is born and they just throw it somewhere. And how has a monk comprehended a mode of conduct and manner of dwelling in such a way that as he conducts himself thus, and as he dwells thus, evil, unwholesome states of covetousness and grief do not flow in upon him. Suppose a man would enter a thorny forest. There would be thorns in front of him, thorns behind him, thorns to his left, thorns to his right, thorns below him, thorns above him. He would go forward mindfully, and he would go back mindfully, thinking, may no thorn prick me. So too monks, whatever in the world has a pleasing and agreeable nature, that is called a thorn in the noble one's discipline. Having understood this thus, as a thorn, one should understand restraint and non-restraint. Stop here for a moment. So here, people who don't understand the Dhamma, whenever there is something to enjoy in the world, like sensual pleasures, etc., then we quickly want to enjoy it. But the Buddha says all these things that are pleasing, agreeable, and give us happiness and enjoyment is actually a thorn, because when you become attached to it, then suffering will come. Either because it's impermanent or you cannot get it. Then just like a drug addict is hooked on to the drugs, and when he cannot get the drugs, then he'll suffer like mad. So one who knows the Dhamma, we are very different from worldly people. Worldly people want to enjoy a lot of things in this world, but people who walk the holy path, the things that people want to enjoy, we don't want to enjoy. And how monks is there non-restraint? Here, having seen a form with the eye, or a body with the eye, a monk is intent upon a pleasing form, and repelled by a displeasing form. He dwells without having set up mindfulness of the body, with a limited mind, and he does not understand as it really is, that liberation by mind, liberation by wisdom, wherein those evil, unwholesome states cease without remainder. Similarly, having heard a sound with the ear, having smelt an odor, tasted a taste, etc., he is intent upon a pleasing sense object and repelled by a displeasing one. He dwells without having set up mindfulness of the body with a limited mind and does not understand as it really is, that liberation by mind, liberation by wisdom, wherein those evil, unwholesome states cease without remainder. It is in such a way that there is non-restraint. So one who is unrestrained in the mind, then he is moved by pleasing objects and displeasing objects of the senses. And how monks is there restraint? Here, having seen a form with the eye, a monk is not intent upon a pleasing form and not repelled by a displeasing form. He dwells having set up mindfulness of the body with a measureless mind, and he understands as it really is, that liberation by mind, liberation by wisdom, wherein those evil, unwholesome states cease without remainder. Similarly, having heard a sound with the ear, smelled odor, tasted a taste, contacted a touch, and cognized thought, he is not intent upon a pleasing contact and not repelled by a displeasing one. He dwells having set up mindfulness of the body with a measureless mind, and he understands as it really is, that liberation by mind, liberation by wisdom, wherein those evil, unwholesome states cease without remainder. It is in such a way that there is restraint. When a monk is conducting himself and dwelling in such a way, if occasionally, due to a lapse of mindfulness, evil, unwholesome memories and intentions connected with the fetters arise in him, slow might be the arising of his mindfulness, but then he quickly abandons them, dispels them, puts an end to them, obliterates them. Suppose a man lets 2 or 3 drops of water fall onto an iron plate, heated for a whole day. Slow might be the falling of the water drops, but then they would quickly vaporize and vanish. So too, when a monk is conducting himself and dwelling in such a way, slow might be the arising of his mindfulness, but then he quickly abandons them, dispels them, puts an end to them, obliterates them. Thus a monk has comprehended a mode of conduct and manner of dwelling in such a way that as he conducts himself and as he dwells thus, evil, unwholesome states of covetousness and grief do not flow in upon him. When a monk is conducting himself thus and dwelling thus, kings or royal ministers, friends or colleagues, relatives or kinsmen might invite him to accept wealth, saying, "Come, good man, why let those saffron robes weigh you down? Why roam about with a shaven head and a begging bowl? Come, having returned to the lower life, enjoy wealth and do meritorious deeds." Indeed, monks, when that monk is conducting himself thus and dwelling thus, it is impossible that he will give up the training and return to the lower life. So if a monk is practicing well, he's not moved by sense objects, then even if he's persuaded to disrobe, he will never disrobe. Suppose, monks, that when the river Ganges slants, slopes and inclines towards the east, a great crowd of people would come along bringing a shovel and basket, thinking, "We will make this river Ganges slope, slant and incline towards the west." What do you think, monks? Would that great crowd of people be able to make the river Ganges slant, slope and incline towards the west? No, Venerable Sir. For what reason? Because the river Ganges slants, slopes and inclines towards the east, and it is not easy to make it slant, slope or incline towards the west. That great crowd of people would only reap fatigue and vexation. So too, monks, when a monk is conducting himself thus and dwelling thus, kings or royal ministers, friends or colleagues, relatives or kinsmen might invite him to accept wealth, but it is impossible that he will give up the training and return to the lower life. For what reason? Because for a long time his mind has slanted, sloped and inclined towards seclusion. Thus it is impossible that he will give up the training and return to the lower life. That's the end of the sutta. So here you see the Buddha, the last part, the Buddha says he will not disrobe. Why? Because for a long time his mind has slanted, sloped and inclined towards seclusion. So it is not for a short time that you can achieve result. It is a long time. So if a monk practices, and then because the practice of the holy life is very difficult to progress. Year by year, you make small progress, make small progress. Then after many years, then you have progressed quite a lot, because the Buddha says that the spiritual path, the holy path, inclines, slopes gently. It does not suddenly slope, just like ocean. When you walk into the ocean, the sea, you walk, the ocean becomes gradually deeper and deeper and deeper. It does not get suddenly deep. So in the same way, when we practice the holy path, we progress little by little, not suddenly we get enlightened. So this sutta is saying that if we are moved by sensual contacts, this sense contacts, then move means either we crave for pleasing sense objects, or repel, feel aversion for displeasing sense objects. And that's because the mind is not strong, not concentrated, so it is easily moved. But if we practice strong concentration, then the mind is not easily moved. The next sutta is 35.245. One monk approached another and asked him, "In what way, friend, is a monk's vision well purified?" And the other monk answered, "When, friend, a monk understands as they really are the origin and the passing away of the 6 bases for contact, in this way his vision is well purified." Then the first monk, dissatisfied with the other's answer, approached another monk and asked him, "In what way, friend, is a monk's vision well purified?" And the second monk answered, "When, friend, a monk understands as they really are the origin and the passing away of the 5 aggregates of attachment. In this way, his vision is well purified. Again, the first monk, dissatisfied with the others, the other monks answer, approached still another monk and asked him, "In what way, friend, is a monk's vision well purified?" And the third monk answered, "When friend, a monk understands as they really are the origin and the passing away of the 4 great elements. In this way, his vision is well purified." Again, the first monk, dissatisfied with the other monk's answer, approached still another monk and asked him, "In what way, friend, is a monk's vision well purified?" And the other monk said, "When friend, a monk understands as it really is, whatever is subject to origination is all subject to cessation. In this way, his vision is well purified." Then the first monk, dissatisfied with the other's answer, approached the Blessed One, reported everything that had happened, and asked, "In what way, Venerable Sir, is a monk's vision well purified?" Stop here for a moment. So this monk, he asked 4 different monks, and they gave him 4 different answers. One told him that you have to understand the 6 bases of contact, and then your vision and your knowledge, seeing and knowing, is purified. The second monk says you have to understand the 5 aggregates of attachment. The third monk says the 4 great elements. And the fourth monk says you have to understand dependent origination. And then the Buddha answered this monk, "Monk, suppose there was a man who had never before seen a Kimsuka tree. He might approach a man who had seen a Kimsuka tree and ask him, 'Sir, what is a Kimsuka tree like?' The other might answer, 'Good man, a Kimsuka tree is blackish, like a charred stump.' On that occasion, a Kimsuka tree might have been exactly as that man had seen it. Then that man, dissatisfied with the other's answer, might approach another man who had seen a Kimsuka tree and ask him, 'Sir, what is a Kimsuka tree like?' The other might answer, 'Good man, a Kimsuka tree is reddish, like a piece of meat.' On that occasion, a Kimsuka tree might have been exactly as that man had seen it. Then that man, dissatisfied with the other's answer, might approach still another man who had seen a Kimsuka tree and ask, 'Sir, what is a Kimsuka tree like?' The other might answer, 'Good man, a Kimsuka tree has strips of bark hanging down and burst spots like an acacia tree.' On that occasion, a Kimsuka tree might have been exactly as that man had seen it. Then that man, dissatisfied with the other's answer, might approach still another man who had seen a Kimsuka tree and ask, 'Sir, what is a Kimsuka tree like?' The other might answer, 'Good man, a Kimsuka tree has plenty of leaves and foliage and gives abundant shade like a banyan tree.' On that occasion, a Kimsuka tree might have been exactly as that man had seen it. So too, monk, those superior men answered as they were disposed in just the way their own vision had been purified." Stop here for a moment. So this Kimsuka tree, depending on different times, it would look different. The first case, somebody has burned the tree, so it looked like a charred stump. So because that man saw it when it was burned, so he described it as a charred stump, which is exactly what he saw. It's not lying. Another person said the Kimsuka tree is reddish, like a piece of meat. Maybe when the Kimsuka tree was young, it was reddish. So he saw it at that time, it was actually reddish. So similarly for the other two, when they saw it, it was like that, so they answered in that way. So the Buddha says, those 4 men you asked, actually I think they were Arahants, and they had attained to Arahanthood by contemplating 4 different things. So they described what they knew best. And then the Buddha continued, "Suppose, monk, a king had a frontier city with strong ramparts, walls and arches, and with 6 gates. The gatekeeper posted there would be a wise, competent and intelligent person, one who keeps out strangers and admits acquaintances. A swift pair of messengers would come from the east and ask the gatekeeper, "Where, good man, is the lord of this city?" And he would reply, "He is sitting in the central square." Then the swift pair of messengers would deliver a message of reality to the lord of the city and leave by the route by which they had arrived. Similarly, messengers would come from the west, from the north, from the south, deliver their message and leave by the route by which they had arrived. I have made up this simile, Mang, in order to convey a meaning. This is the meaning here. The city, this is a designation for this body, consisting of the four great elements, originating from mother and father, built up out of boiled rice and gruel, subject to impermanence, to being worn and rubbed away, to breaking up apart and dispersal. The 6 gates, this is a designation for the 6 internal sense bases. The gatekeeper, this is a designation for mindfulness. The swift pair of messengers, this is a designation for samatha and vipassana. Samatha, you can say, is tranquility, and vipassana is contemplation. The lord of the city, this is a designation for consciousness. The central square, this is a designation for the 4 great elements, the earth element, water element, fire element, and wind element. The message of reality, this is a designation for nibbana. The route by which they had arrived, this is a designation for the Noble Eightfold Path, right view, etc. That's the end of the sutta. So here, the Buddha has given a famous simile. The Buddha says there is a frontier city, and there's a gatekeeper guarding the 6 gates, and a swift pair of messengers would come from the north, south, east, and west, and they'll bring this message of reality and go off the way they came. So the Buddha says the city is this body. So this body, and then the 6 gates refer to the 6 sense organs. The gatekeeper is mindfulness. The swift pair of messengers is samatha and vipassana. So samatha and vipassana is bringing the message of nibbana. Bringing the message of nibbana. So in other words, and they come by the Noble Eightfold Path. They come and go out by the Noble Eightfold Path. So in other words, to practice the Noble Eightfold Path and attain nibbana, you got to have this samatha and vipassana. Both are necessary. Sometimes nowadays people say, "Oh, vipassana is enough to give you wisdom," but it's not. Here, this message, this simile is very clear. You need both samatha and vipassana. Samatha is practicing concentration, practicing meditation, because in the Majjhima Nikaya, remember Ananda said the type of meditation approved, praised by the Buddha himself is the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. So samatha is meditation that will bring you to the jhanas, especially the fourth jhana. And vipassana is contemplation, contemplation on the Buddha's Dhamma, contemplation on the suttas that will bring you insight. And the depth of insight depends on your samatha. How deep is your concentration? The higher your concentration, your samadhi, then the deeper the insight. That is why those ascetics, the Buddha taught, those ascetics who had attained the 4 jhanas, when they listen to the Dhamma, they attain arahanthood. Whereas people without any jhana, when they listen to the same Dhamma, they became sotapanna, or attain stream entry. So this simile is then the central square, the 4 great elements. So this body, we have mindfulness guarding the 6 sense doors, and then we have to practice this Noble Eightfold Path and this samatha and vipassana, especially. But you practice the Noble Eightfold Path, you won't attain nibbana until samatha and vipassana is practiced. So when you perfect samatha and vipassana, then only you attain nibbana. In other words, you need the 4 jhanas and much study of the suttas. So in this, when we study the suttas, we have these 4 things that we can concentrate on. Like some arahants, they attain arahanthood through thoroughly understanding the 6 bases for contact. And some arahants, they contemplate the 5 aggregates of attachment deeply until they see impermanence and they see dukkha and not self. Then they become disenchanted with the 5 aggregates and become dispassionate and attain liberation. The third type of arahant are those that contemplate the body, the 4 great elements of the body. And the fourth type of arahants are those who contemplated dependent origination and attain liberation. So these are the 4 main ways to attain liberation. The 6 bases, 5 aggregates, 4 great elements and dependent origination. But always remember you need samatha and vipassana both together, and only you attain the message of nibbana. Let's stop here. We've only 3 more suttas to complete the Salayatana Sangyutta. Very good. Anything to discuss? Oh, I didn't say it's not advisable to make cash donation. Oh, because in a sutta, the Buddha said that if we want to make merit for our departed relatives, they can only get it if they are reborn in the ghost realm. If they are reborn in the other 4 realms, namely heaven or human realm or animal or hell realm, then they would not be able to get it. Only ghosts can get it. Although the Buddha did not say why, I guess it's because only ghosts can come back to visit us. So my opinion, it's my personal opinion, is that ghosts need 2 things foremost. Most important to ghosts is food, and secondly is clothing. Food, I think everybody agrees. Clothing, because a few years ago I was in Australia and I spent the Vasa there, and it was winter, and a Thai lady said that at night she would hear this ghost crying, and then she saw this young male ghost and female ghost, and they were shivering because it was winter. So I think they were asking for help. So he went to the monastery, he donated food and he donated robes and transferred the merit to them. It's surprising, I mean, like her, probably they come to her because they know that they can get help from her. If they go to, they don't simply go to anybody. If they go to a Christian may not know what to do. So if you want to donate cash, it's also all right. They can inform the relative that have done this donation so that the monastery, you see, for example, you give cash to a monastery, but before you give, it's best to inform your departed relative beforehand so that they are expecting the merit. Then you also tell them that this money, the monastery can use it in any way. So in the same way, this blessing from that offering, you transfer to your relative so that they can get what they like, what they need. You mean funeral? Or what? Oh. It would seem like when you offer and you burn, they can get it. Only thing is if you burn like paper stuff, then they get paper stuff. And a lot of things that people burn is not necessary. For example, people burn paper cars. They don't need cars. They can fly faster than the car. I guess they can get it also. You see, everything in the world is mind-made. And the Buddha said that when we do this merit, our departed relatives will get it. The Buddha didn't say any old ghost will get it. Our departed relatives can get it because they are waiting for you to do merit for them. So when you do it, then they believe that they get it. This belief is very important. Like a person under hypnosis, we tell him something and he believes it's real to him. Just like in our dream. In our dream, we dream maybe we are stabbed. Actually, we feel like somebody stabbed us, even in the dream. Somebody slapped you. In the dream also you feel the slap. It's only when you wake up only then you realize it's not real. So in the same way, because our relative is waiting for that merit, so when you do it, they actually believe that they get it. But some other ghost who is not your relative, they don't come near to you to expect this merit. Not really, because in that case, for example, you listen to Dhamma and you get wisdom. You cannot transfer your wisdom. But we still, we chant Etavata. Actually, the chanting is not telling them that we transfer merit to them. The chanting is saying, Anumodan, to rejoice. May you rejoice in the goodness of this, what we are doing. So when we think of them like this, then they know that we think of them, so they are happy. As far as I know, in the suttas, there is no metta known to come to listen to the Dhamma. It might be in later books, not in the original suttas. Because I would think that being in the woeful plains of rebirth like a ghost, their mind is very agitated and they cannot listen to the Dhamma. Even human beings, there are some that already find it difficult to listen to the Dhamma. So how can a ghost listen to the Dhamma? I don't think so. I don't believe that a ghost can listen to a Dhamma and become a Sotapanna. Devas can. Yeah, commentary or some later additions, like for example Khuddaka Nikaya. Many of the books in the Khuddaka Nikaya and later books, Xiao Pu. Okay, come and transfer merit.